Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Taisho Alice, and we are getting down to the end of Snow White's route. I don't know if we'll get her ending today. All of them, except for Kaguya's, for some reason, have always been about 10 parts, but, I mean, this would make it only 9 if we got our ending in this one, I think, and then did our bad ending part in the next one, so I don't know. I mean, that's roughly standard, maybe, but like I rambled a lot, so I feel like, wow, it was like shorter than the first couple ones, or maybe I talked a lot more during the first 3 routes. I don't know, but anyway, we'll find out. Snow White was just kind of giving us his true backstory, and we have no more choices to make, so we'll see what happens. Anyway. Hey, look, isn't he cute?
Oh my god, he's so cute!
As we walked through the town, I kept overhearing certain words. Words like cute and pretty. But that wasn't all.
I mean, you're also a little kid, so she's like, oh, he's so cute. Like, it's okay. You're like 8. Like, or like 6 or something here. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like you're 25 like, oh my god, he's so cute. Even still. Cute is okay. But it's not like, oh, you're so cute. We were like condescending, you know? Anyway.
It felt like people were staring at me. Everyone we passed on the street seemed to be looking at me. And for some reason, they all seemed to be whispering and giggling behind their hands.
Because no one's ever seen anything so beautiful and precious?
Oh. Reactions varied from person to person, but it didn't make me uncomfortable because I didn't sense any ill will. At one point, Mother decided to stop by the green grocer to buy vegetables for dinner. The owner's wife took one look at me and broke into a smile.
Oh, look at those big eyes! You're so cute!
As she spoke, she gave me one of her apples. It was the first time a stranger had given me a gift. Startled, I looked up at my mother.
Well, what a thoughtful gift! What do you say?
Thank you. At this, the woman's eyes widened in surprise. And this confused me. I didn't understand why she was surprised at all.
Now then, let's get going. Are they surprised? Well, no, those girls said he's so cute. Yeah, they said he. So I was like, does everyone think I'm a pretty little girl or something?
Then my mother led me out of the store. As I would soon discover, the green grocer's wife wasn't the only person to react that way. No matter where we went, everyone called me cute and gave me special treatment. Am I cute? At this, my mother replied without hesitation.
Of course you are. You're adorable.
But I'm not a princess. As far as I knew, cute was something only girls could be.
No, kids and bunnies can be cute too. Or all animals, but you know.
But I wasn't a girl, and yet they still called me cute. While I didn't mind it, I didn't really understand. Then out of the corner of my eye, I saw a mother and child holding hands. Who was that? Startled, I came to a stop. And the other boys stopped too. I let go of Mother's hand and approached him. Likewise, he mirrored my actions.
Are they looking in a mirror?
I reached out. He reached out. Our palms touched. But his carried no human warmth. I looked up and found him staring back at me in alarm. Skin as white as snow, lips and cheeks as red as an apple, and bright, shiny hair. He looked nothing like anyone I'd ever seen. Who was he?
What's wrong?
As I stood there in a daze, my mother gently called out to me. Mother, how come I don't look like you?
Well,
just then.
Look, it's a foreigner! Hey you! How's it going, girly boy?
Some boys my age started to jeer at me. Unlike the adults, they treated me like the anomaly I was. That was the moment I finally understood why everyone had given me special treatment. It was because I didn't look like them. I was standing in front of a glass display case, and the strange-looking boy was actually my reflection. All at once I grew frightened. I clung to my mother.
Are those boys being mean to you?
My mother asked quietly. Dark hair, dark eyes. She really looked nothing like me. I didn't answer. She looked around for a moment, then slid an arm around my shoulders and hurried away. Mother, You have nothing to worry about. I'll protect you. Okay. After that, Mother stopped letting me leave the house. Before she left for work, she summoned me and said, "Now listen here. You're not like the other kids. You're a precious angel. And that's why you mustn't play outside. The world is filled with wicked wolves, and you can never trust them. So if one of them talks to you, be sure to ignore them. You have to watch the house while I'm gone, understand? And if anyone knocks on the door, don't let them in, no matter what." "Yes, Mother." "Good boy. Be back later." Left alone in the house, I gazed through the window. The snow glittered in the soft sunlight. I really enjoyed going into town with my mother. I wanted to play outside again. Then I saw my hazy reflection in the glass and realized it was a hopeless dream. With nothing else to do, I stayed inside and read books. But I quickly grew bored of it. It was no fun to read the same books over and over again. That night, I had come to resent the perfect princess who had earned my mother's unconditional love. Perfect princess is, sorry. On the table, my mother had set out some food for me, as well as some money for emergencies. I had everything I needed. As long as I obeyed my mother, nothing bad or dangerous would ever happen. Or so I thought. "I'm back." "Welcome home, Mother." It was around then that the exhaustion began to erode my mother's beauty. Her complexion was wan, and she often stared blankly into space. Anxious, I decided to ask her something I'd wondered for a long time. "Hey, Mother, what kind of job do you have?" Her face seemed to turn even more ashen. "I sell flowers." "Can I do it too?" I wanted to lessen her burden, if only a tiny amount.
She sells her flower.
"You don't need to. A prince doesn't have to work."
Maybe she sells flowers during the day, but she puts on lots of makeup. Unless she's going to, like, she's like that lady that goes around when you're on dates and is like selling you flowers for your date. She could be doing that. I just assumed the worst. Oh.
Alas, she simply stroked my hair. Even without her beauty, she never stopped being kind and loving. But I couldn't stand being a useless little prince.
"I'm sorry, sweetie."
As she hugged me, I noticed she had gotten thinner. "Mother..." Just then, someone started banging on the front door. Mother flinched.
"Not again."
"What's wrong?" She looked scared.
"Come this way."
She grabbed me by the arm and pushed me into the closet.
"You hide in here. Listen to me. No matter what happens, you have to stay in here and don't say a word, understand?"
And with that, she shut the closet door. A few moments later, I heard a man shouting. Then I heard my mother apologize.
"I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll pay it back very soon."
She sounded like she was crying.
Loan shark? Did she borrow money?
I could tell that something scary was happening, and my mother was trying to protect me from it. I wanted to dash out of the closet and rescue her, but my feet were rooted to the spot, right at the moment I needed them most. As a prince, I was supposed to save the princess. I had promised to protect my mother, but instead she had to protect me.
You're just a child. Poor thing. "Found you!"
I awoke to someone shaking my shoulders. Apparently I had fallen asleep. "Is it safe to come out now?" I rubbed my sleepy eyes.
"Yes, it's safe now. Come on out."
"Okay." I walked up to her and she pulled me into a hug. But I could smell a faint animal smell mixed in with her usual flowery fragrance, and it nearly made me gag. From that day on, my mother gradually continued to change. Her complexion grew pale, and wrinkles formed on her once youthful face.
"Listen, we all age. Don't judge me, God."
Her cheerful smile vanished, and she started taking a lot of medication. And then her clean, tidy house slowly filled with trash. As time passed, the place began to reek.
"Now listen here. You're not like all the other kids. You're a precious angel. Or like bitch can't take out the trash when you're going out the house? And that's why you mustn't play outside. The world is filled with wicked wolves, and you can never trust them. So if one of them talks to you, be sure to ignore them. You have to watch the house while I'm gone, understand? And if anyone knocks on the door, don't let them in, no matter what. Yes, Mother. Then she stopped cooking for me, and eventually, she barely came home at all. But she still left a small amount of money on the table in case of emergencies. Why would she give me money if she didn't want me to leave the house? I didn't understand. I didn't need money, just like I didn't need food. If I stayed still, I wouldn't get hungry. If I stayed home, I didn't need money. By that point, I was accustomed to sleeping during the day and being awake at night. Because of that, I started having strange dreams. In the dreams, I was sitting in the bright sunshine, listening to the waves. Then I remembered what someone had once told me. The lake tide swells and recedes just like the ocean. Supposedly, these waves are created by friction between the surface water and the wind. That said, a lake is still not the same as an ocean. A lake won't lead you to distant lands. I mean, it will if you fall in and drown. It's a distant land of death, I guess. Huh? When I awoke, I was inside the house. No sunshine, no waves. Just a tiny cabin. The outside world was just a dream. Surely it couldn't hurt to have fun in my dreams, right? Before long, I had started to dream of hanging out with someone. In these dreams, I was happy. Whenever I woke, I found myself in a dark, empty house, reminding me that any happiness I felt was merely a phantom. Then one day... Where were you? My mother had come home unusually early that day. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't understand why she was angry. When I tried to be honest with her, she thought I was lying. Don't lie to me! Why do you always lie to me? And what's this? Did you get this from someone? She held up some clothes I didn't recognize. That isn't mine. Then whose is it? I don't know where it came from, honest. Slowly she shook her head. Her eyes were full of fear. Please, answer me. Who are you? It's me, your son. No! You're not my child. I'm not? Is that why we don't look alike? It's like she's slowly losing her marbles. My eyes, my hair, my skin, none of it looks like yours. No, that's not what I mean. But Mother, give it back. Give me back my real son. Yeah, it sounds like she's literally losing her mind. She collapsed into a fit of sobbing, but there was nothing I could do. It felt like she'd rejected my entire existence. Truth be told, I was only ever a burden to her. If it wasn't for me, she could have been a princess. I'm sorry, Mother. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I was born. Tears streamed down my face. The world steadily blurred. Alice! Then she called a name I didn't recognize. Huh? From there, the rest of my memories were fuzzy. The next thing I knew, I was alone in the house again. My mother was probably off at work. Left to my own devices, I once again chose to obey my mother. Like always, I read my books and dozed off. But then I had a depressing dream. I couldn't remember the details, but I had lied and hurt someone, and in the end, I got hurt too. Are you like getting trippy and like what is dream and what's real? Where am I? When I awoke, I was in the middle of the forest and my cheeks were wet. What was I doing out here? I didn't know exactly what time it was, but judging from my surroundings, it had to be pretty late. I was overwhelmed by indescribable fear and panic. The lights were on at my house. Had Mother come home? If so, then she had caught me breaking her rules. Would she be angry with me? Or was she just worried for my safety? Is anyone there? But no matter how hard I knocked, no one answered. This was definitely the right house. There weren't any others in sight. Hesitantly, I twisted the doorknob. Strangely enough, it was unlocked.
I'm home. The moonlight streaming in through the window faintly illuminated the interior. I could smell a sugary scent. It was the smell of my mother's apple pie. Mother? My mother was collapsed over the table, looking at me with cold, unfeeling eyes. My heart thumped in my chest. Pallid skin, blue lips, lifeless dark eyes. I didn't know what had happened, but my knees shook and my palms began to sweat.
So he thinks because he wasn't home, he killed her. I mean, so she was just like so stressed out that she died, or she was literally slowly dying anyway. You know what I mean? Like she probably had something wrong with her. She sounds like she was losing her marbles.
Mother, wake up. You can't sleep here or you'll make yourself sick. I shook her by the shoulder, but she wouldn't wake. Mother. This time I shook her as hard as I could. She toppled over. I can't scream like him, it hurts my throat. Screaming, I fell backward onto the floor. Half of her face had turned reddish purple. Mother! I accidentally brushed her hand and was startled to find it ice cold. And that was the moment I realized that I would never see my mother again. Aww. From that day forward, Mother grew worse and worse. At first, she retained some degree of her good looks, but after 4 days, dark purple veins spread over her entire body. But at least back then, I was still able to recognize her. After a week, blisters appeared all over her skin, which continued to change color.
You just dealt with a corpse in your... Oh my God.
Then her body swelled, and she began to emit an unbearable odor. Maggots crawled all over her, and there were flies buzzing everywhere.
I'm gonna vomit. What the fuck, Snow White?
There was no trace left of her former beauty. Now she was merely a monster. Come to think of it, it was around then that I stopped having those fun dreams. Sleep used to be my one escape from this miserable existence, and now I wasn't even afforded that.
I mean, because there's a literal corpse in your house.
But hey, who needed dreams? My whole life was a nightmare now, and it was my obligation to endure it. The chilly air made my extremities go numb. My stomach rumbled endlessly. But even then, surprisingly enough, I still clung stubbornly to life. The world's real life felt like an oxymoron. Sure, this was my life, but what part of it was real? Why am I even alive? Just then, I realized someone was staring at me from inside the mirror. I always hated looking in the mirror. The first time I saw my reflection, I didn't believe it was actually me. Skin as white as snow, lips and cheeks as red as an apple, and bright, shiny hair. For some reason, I was sure it had to be someone else entirely. And I found myself wondering, is that the real me? Apprehensively, I looked over to find a boy with skin as white as snow, lips and cheeks as red as an apple, and bright, shiny hair.
But it's really funny because now he's looking at Alice, not himself. But then you wonder, like, because we were in that dark place, me and Alice. And then, like, we go into the Looking Glass world and all these different paths, but it's like, are we and Alice the same person? Are we Alice and Alice is us? You know what I mean? And, like, it's a little weird that we're all the same person. I'm just a crazy person. I have multiple personalities, and they're all pretty boys, except for one girl. Because, like, now Snow White is seeing Alice, and then you're like, but Alice doesn't look like that. And it's like, it's interesting that the reflection you see in this other you is Alice that we know. And, like, it's just making me, like, wonder if that's, like, kind of a hint to, like, the overarching plot of the game, or, like, something that's going to come out in Alice's route. Because you know there's probably something else. Like, I don't know, and don't tell me, because I want it to be a surprise, because, like, I have no fucking clue. But, like, each route is almost like in its standalone. You know what I mean? And there's something happening. We're in a different... Like, we step through... Like, that first part with us and Alice in that dark void has something to do with that, and then whatever happens in Alice's route, probably. is like the true kind of story. And then like us finding those mirrors and like, oh, we're going to step through brings us into this whole other world where we're living a different life. And it's like, are we like a mental patient and these are just our fantasies or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like, or like Snow White, like, oh, maybe it's all just a dream. I mean, and that's kind of what Alice was telling us in that dark place in the very beginning. Like, maybe it's just a dream. And like, well, whose dream are we in? Is it yours or mine? Where maybe we're the same person. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there's some weird shit going on. And like, everything's a standalone story, but then there's weird little things like this where you're like, is that just to get Alice into all the routes somehow? Or, you know, like, but it's weird because every other one he's just, oh, boarding at the house or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he's a boarder, basically, at the cafe place. And in this one, he's like Snow White's reflection self. But like not. But it's, I don't know. It's just like, huh. So we really need that fourth one localized pretty fast. And the fan disc. Anyway. I mean, I really think they obviously will do the fourth one because the second one and the third one came out pretty in quick succession, relatively. So I'm sure they're working on the fourth one. I don't see why at this point they'd be like, nope, not worth it after doing the first three. Fan disc is up in the air, but like, cause I didn't know there was one, but apparently there is one. But I'm hoping they do that too, so. And I hope they keep localizing other things because they're fucking brilliant. Like, the way they write it, the way it's not, like, it's, like, they put so much effort into it. To write it and to put the little, like, personality and, like, all that. And I'm sure it has something to do with the writing of the original game. But you know if you read Japanese and you were reading some games in Japanese, you'd be like, ah, this is funny. And then when it gets localized, it's like, sometimes it's good, like, fine, but there's still issues. Or other times you're like, this was machine translated and nothing makes fucking sense and I gotta figure it out. But this is just so artfully done that I just really hope they localize more than just this. Like, I hope that I really just wish them all the best success in the world so that they keep localizing games because they're brilliant at what they do and they should just be rewarded for it by being able to keep doing what they enjoy doing and what they're just masterful at doing. You know? It's good for them, it's good for us, I'm just saying. Anyway. Okay. I think we read this, but I'll read it again.
Apprehensively, I looked over to find a boy with skin as white as snow, lips and cheeks as red as an apple, and bright, shiny hair. Then I asked my reflection, mirror, mirror on the wall, whose reflection do you hold?
It's me.
The instant I heard those words, the thin thread holding me together finally snapped. Who are you? What's your name? What are you doing in there? By any chance, are you Alice? The boy in the reflection nodded.
But that's so weird. So he knows he's Alice and then, but there's some trippy shit happening.
Then, who am I? Just then the mirror reflected something else. There I saw an ugly boy with a greasy face and dandruff in his hair.
That's because you haven't taken care of yourself.
Ah!
I can't scream for him, but he's screaming a lot. I can't. My throat actually hurts, and like, I also don't want my neighbors hearing me scream.
In that moment, I understood everything. Why my mother had changed. Why the boy in the mirror didn't seem like me. And now I could see myself for what I truly was.
That's because you aren't taking care of yourself. That's why you're grimy and greasy. That's why you gotta bathe. Hygiene's important.
The day I disobeyed my mother and went outside, I came home to find her looking at me with cold, lifeless eyes. She was perfectly still and her body was cold as ice. Soon after that, I realized she was never going to come home again. And it's my fault. I killed my own mother. If I had listened to her, if I had stayed at home, I could have been there to save her.
Once my eyes adapted to the darkness, I was able to faintly see Snow White, as well as his mother. Or rather, the lifeless black mass beside him. Blech. By her feet, I could see a pool of bodily fluids and wriggling maggots. Okay, stop, game. Oh my god. They get more and more disturbing as they go. Like, Cinderella was a little bit of a dick, and, like, now we did with dead bodies and like, It was so grotesque. I felt like I was gonna pass out. Yeah, you and me both. She was so sweet and innocent and cheerful. She never lost touch with her inner child. But now, no trace of her former beauty remained. This is some, like, Bates Motel shit. I shouldn't have thought about it too deeply. The stench hit my stomach and I vomited. I would never forget this sight for as long as I lived. Snow White had watched the most important person in his life turn into a hideous monster. In real life, but this is a dream. How long had he endured this nightmare? I didn't mean to make you cry. Guess I was right. I'll never be a prince after all. Beyond my tear-blurred vision, I could see him staring down at his hands. After my choking and spitting subsided, I wiped my mouth and looked up at him. He'd endured pain far worse than mine. For years. If I wanted to understand him, then I would have to accept this. I would have to accept him exactly as he was. My mother was once so beautiful, but with each passing day she grows uglier and uglier. That's my punishment for not saving her. If I wanted to heal him, then I couldn't sit around and cry. Sometime after that, I met Huntsman. Ryoshi Arisu, my real brother. I took a deep breath and spoke in a calm voice. How could I have forgotten something so important? At some point, I wandered into this topsy-turvy world and forgot myself. No surprise there. This is a dream world after all. Which dreamed it? But I didn't bother to ask the question. After all, I was pretty sure I knew the answer. One can say that a dream is a reproduction or recreation of our memories. In most cases, the people and places that appear in your dreams are taken wholesale from your past. Why do I feel like this route particularly just repeats itself over and over? You forget that creepy deja vu feeling? Like, every time we play this, like, so many lines are exactly the same. Every part of this world was created from my memories. No matter what it looks like on the outside, it's still me. The whole time I've been looking into the mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Show me what I want to see. Tell me what I want to hear. Frills, lace, and ribbons. A big castle. Pretty dresses. A mother who loved me. A hunter who looked after me. And then there's me, the prince. I spent a long, long time using these reflections as my own solace. As my only solace, wow. I told myself I didn't need to open my eyes. I didn't need to see the truth. So what if it all was a fake? The days I spent with my loved ones were calm and peaceful, like a still lake. No pain or misery to be found. But no joy. Oh, but that's me. But no joy either. Slowly, Snow White looked up at me. Behind his thick eyelashes, his eyes glittered in the darkness. You ruined it for me. Oh, we're gonna get stabbed now. At first, I thought people were disappearing from the town, but I was wrong. In actuality, the town barely had any people in it. Yeah, that's right. I don't have that many memories of people in my heart. As he spoke, he smiled faintly. His voice was level, but I could only imagine the pain he felt. His solitude was eternal and unchanging, and utterly hopeless. He wasn't really that boring, though. I had my books, after all. And through those books, I was able to learn about the outside world from the safety of my dream. And that said, I was hungry for a new story. His gaze drifted to the table. There sat a book and an apple pie. The pie was half eaten, and the book had seen so much use, it was nearly falling apart. He loved both of these things so much, they practically represented him. I pressed a hand to my mouth. The time I nearly threw up after eating a bite of that moldy apple pie. Was that something he experienced in his past, too? And it was around then that I met you. Yes, because probably like the last because he said, remember, he smelled the apple pie? And like it probably went moldy, and then he was like trying, like, you know what I mean? Huntsman had told me all about his little sister, the princess with the peculiar eyes. And I always wanted to meet you in person. Spacey Arisu, here in my dream, you're an anomaly. You're a mirror reflection of my heart, yet you have a will of your own. I'm not that surprised you showed up, honestly. I knew you indirectly, so it's not unreasonable that I might dream of you. But
But you were slightly different from my perception of Spacey Arisu, and so I realized you were more than a mere mirror image. For real, you only had one brother, Ryoshi Arisu, and you didn't run a cafe either. You never lived in my town at all. Even then, I could still shrug it off as an alternate universe version of you. What sealed it for me was your appearance. I'd only ever seen you through Huntsman's old photos. At the time, you would have been just under 10 years old. I never saw what you looked like at 19.
I shivered. Only then did I notice how abnormally cold it was inside the cabin. Man, it's really cold in here. There was no light in the darkness, no heat source to keep us warm. Because this was his world. You know, I always wondered, if this is your dream, then what does that make me? After all, I have a consciousness of my own. So what exactly am I? This feels like it's like overarching, like way too many. I'm really curious, like, you know what I mean? It feels very similar to the opening where you're like, we're in a weird dream, but whose dream is it? Am I you or you me? What's going on? You know what I mean? It's really trippy. But now I finally understand. I'm a mirror reflection of your heart, but I'm also a pawn. There must be another version of me in the real world trying to talk to you. And another me, no, both of us. We want you to wake up. That's my purpose here. Wow, so that's interesting. We are just an imagination. That's kind of cool. Like, you're like, I'm not really me. I've been playing an imaginary character this whole time. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing when you're playing an Otome game. You're an imaginary character, but my imaginary character is an imaginary character. It's Inception.
Well, I don't want to wake up. I want to stay here.
Why? It smells gross here.
Liar. I'm not lying. I'm perfectly happy with what I have here. My mother is here. Huntsman is here. As long as I stay here, I'm a prince. I don't have to look at anything unpleasant.
But none of it's real. Snow White, you compared this dream to a still lake, but those waters are only still because your heart's frozen over. You say there's no pain or misery here, but there's no joy either. There's a lot of pain and misery here. Are you really having fun reading the same old books? Are you having fun going back and forth between the lake and your house and nowhere else? Are you having fun talking to your reflection in the mirror? Stop! He clapped his hands to his ears and shook his head. I don't want to hear it. Snow White! You claim you killed your mother, but deep down you know no one's to blame. You know it wasn't really your fault. No! Next, he squeezed his eyes shut, but I knew my voice could still reach him. I killed her. It was me. I mean, it had to be. If I hadn't disobeyed her, I could have saved her. You've only ever blamed yourself. You could have pinned the blame on someone else, but you chose not to. Because you're a kind person. But it's time to end this. I took a step forward. Frightened, Snow White took a step back. No, stay back. Nevertheless, I walked forward and touched his mother lying slumped over the table. Stop! She was so sweet and innocent and cheerful. She never lost touch with her inner child. We keep repeating the same things. It's making me feel crazy. She was the woman Snow White loved most in all the world. And then at my touch, she disintegrated. Mother! Desperately, he dug for her amid the mountains of trash. Ugh. Mother! Mother! The strength drained from his limbs, and he fell to his knees. As I stood there in silence, he glared up at me. How could you be so cruel? Still not as cruel as your mother. She locked you up in here when you were just a child. No, it's not her fault. She was only looking out for me. Looking out for you? By trapping you in a tiny cabin and controlling every aspect of your life? Well, it's not safe outside. Then why did you keep going up to visit the lake? The lake reflected everything upside down like a mirror, and Snow White always gazed out at it longingly. Well, I'm not your mother, so I don't truly know why she did the things she did. The only way to get that answer would be to ask her directly, but that's no longer possible. You, however, you are still alive. You're just sleeping as if you were dead. I know how you feel, Snow White. After all, I'm your mirror image. I opened my eyes wide so he could see his reflection. Deep down, you've always wanted to venture out into the world. You're not crazy either. You're perfectly sane. The truth is, you wanted me to figure it out. You wanted me to save you. Because you're lonely. Stop! You've always wanted to wake up from this nightmare. No, This is my punishment. For failing to be a prince. For discovering the truth. But then you showed up and changed everything. Mother, Huntsman, everyone. Everything stopped going the way I wanted. Why are you rubbing the truth in my face? Why do you keep calling me a prince? Mirror, mirror on the wall. Tell me what I want to know. Years of solitude turn your heart to ice. The ice served as a mirror, showing you only what you wanted to see, telling you only what you wanted to hear. But once I showed up, that changed too. The magic mirror became corrupted, and I shattered it. But that wasn't the only mirror here. Be honest, you always knew, didn't you? You knew why I showed up in a form you didn't recognize. Stay away from me. Please, stay away. I don't want you to see me like this. Desperate to escape my gaze, he buried his face in his arms. Why not? Because the real me isn't so pristine. I'm filthy, don't you see? I haven't taken a bath and I haven't washed my clothes. I'm greasy and I have dandruff. Not to mention the stench I can't get rid of. I've tried everything. And no matter how much I scrub and scrub, it won't go away. Sure enough, he smelled like old milk. But that was hardly a surprise. After all, he'd spent years and years locked up in this rotten hole. I always wondered why my mother never wanted me to go outside. When I looked in the mirror, I knew. It was because I looked nothing like her. That's why she didn't want me to be seen in public. I'm not a stupid prince. It sounded like he was arguing with the part of him that always wanted to be a prince. Well, I want you. His eyes widened slightly. I can't be your queen, but I can be your princess. Then you'll be my prince. Why? Why do you and your brother care about me so much? Because we love you. When you love someone, you naturally want to be around them. He shook his head. When I love someone, I want to be apart from them. I don't want the people I love to see me like this. I reached out to him. What I wanted more than anything was for him to forgive himself. Don't touch me! I'm filthy. You'll be tainted. He smacked my hand away. You'll be clean if you get out of the stream and take a bath. Just saying. He was terrified. Hey, look at me. Nevertheless, I reached out to him again. Aw. I grabbed his scrawny arm and leaned in. Up close, I could see that his eyes were full of tears. Is she going to take the initiative and give him the kiss? Wow. He was drowning in unbearable sorrow. Look me in the eye. How do you feel about my eyes? They're beautiful. Really beautiful. What about the reflection of yourself you see in them? Well, his grimy face twisted in misery. Even so, his eyes were locked on mine. Listen, Snow White. When you told me you thought my eyes were beautiful, it really meant a lot to me. So I want you to look at what's reflected in them. Because I'm you, and I want you to love me. You're me? So, you want me to love myself? Yep. I nodded with a smile. This is so fucking weird. We are one. Like, quite literally, but also not, but weird. So, like, when he pops out of the dream, and she's there, it's like none of this ever happened, and she has no clue what happened. This is going to be so fucking bizarre. Before you can love someone else, you have to love yourself. Now say the magic words. See, I'm not just a mirror. I'm a magic mirror. And I'll answer any question you ask. Mirror, mirror, standing tall. Who in this land do you love most of all? You, my prince. You are the one I love most of all. And with that, I kissed him. We did it! As I slowly pulled away, he stared back at me in disbelief. Why? Remember when I asked you if you would die for me? Oh no, that was Snow White. Remember when I asked you if you would die for me? Yeah? Whoops. You may be an anomaly here, but you're still part of my dream. This whole world is just an illusion. God damn it. Okay, I just... Crap. Ignore. Like, Spectrum, why do you keep calling me, and why does my computer all of a sudden do this plugged in? I'm not touching my fucking computer. This is what pisses me off. I wasn't even touching anywhere near the power plug. I fucking hate it. It's such a pain in my fucking ass. Anyway, you may be an anomaly here, but you're still part of my dream. This whole world is just an illusion. So if you wake me up, you'll disappear. Are you really okay with that? Yep. How? Because I love you. I love you and I want to heal you. To that end, I don't care if I have to sacrifice myself. I'm happy as long as my beloved is happy. You're an odd duck, you know that? I get that a lot. Maybe your dream made me this way. I shot him a playful wink. He gazed back at me, conflicted. Besides, your mom asked me to look out for you. She wanted the two of us to be friends. So clearly she wants me to save you. That was just the dream version of her. Yeah, maybe. But you can trust me, can't you? Yeah, I trust you. He struggled to smile through the pain. The truth is, I've wanted nothing more than to see you in person. Me too. You felt the same way? Of course I did. You had feelings for me? I don't know about that. But I always dreamed of you. You look like a princess from a picture book. Right. Likewise, I heard about you from my brother. He would always tell me stories of the prince who ate the poisoned apple and fell fast asleep. And I'd always wished I could wake you up. Just then, a bright red flame ignited at our feet and began to spread throughout the room. Oh, you can kind of see it underneath. The fire threatened to consume everything in its path. My world, my dream, it's falling apart. At last, this eternal dream has reached its end. I spoke softly, reassuringly. Didn't I tell you? Even after the dream ends, I'll still love you. But this time, it won't be a mirror image. It'll be the real me. But I pressed my index finger to his lips and slowly shook my head. I'm gonna wake you up, no matter what it takes. Even if I have to disappear along with the rest of your dream. Can you hear my voice? Can you understand me? Loud and clear. When you showed up, it triggered a domino effect that changed my whole world. Your voice is oddly powerful. Normally I couldn't hear anyone, but with you it was different. Your voice slowly melted my frozen lake and made waves in my heart. How lovely. His beautiful eyes dyed my reflection in a brilliant shade of lilac. Drawn in like a magnet, I leaned in. Snow White closed his eyes without resistance. My prince, I've come to wake you. Then I kissed him one more time. Oh. The end, but no. Gotta get the epilogue. Oh, we're actually Snow White. There I stood, a mere child alone at the lake at night. Why the lake, you ask? No real reason. I would have happily gone anywhere, even to the other side of the planet. I just really liked the lake, that's all. On clear nights, the surrounding mountains reflected upside down on the lake's surface. It was magical. And although our town was a tourist trap, people hardly came here at night. The night was yet another clear moonlit night. I just sat there and listened to the waves. Oh, little baby Snow White. You might think a lake wouldn't have waves, but you would be mistaken. The lake tide swells and recedes just like the ocean. Supposedly these waves are created by friction between the surface water and the wind. Again, we've read this before. That said, a lake is still not the same as an ocean. A lake won't lead you to distant lands. I understood that, of course. But even if it did, I would likely never go.
After all, Hey, you! And in nowhere, someone grabbed me by the shoulder. Startled, I whirled around to find a man staring down at me, panic in his eyes. It was Ryoshi. Back then, Ryoshi was a 20-year-old college student. Who are you? What? His eyes widened slightly, almost like he was surprised by my question. Whatever, just come with me. Ryoshi grabbed me by the arm and, without another word, dragged me off the pier and onto the lake shore. Good grief. Isn't it past your bedtime, kid? Don't you have a friend you can spend the night with? No, I don't have any friends. At least I assume so, since no one ever interacted with me. But I didn't really understand friendship anyway. What are you talking about? Of course you do. What about your family? You didn't run away from home, did you? Come on, don't ignore me, damn it! I'm not. I just don't feel like answering. I could have stayed silent, but I didn't want him to keep interrogating me, so I decided to respond. Just then he smacked me over the head. Kinda love Ryoshi a little bit. You're abusing this child. Ryoshi, stop it. You don't get to talk to me like that, you little brat. His husky voice got even huskier as he growled at me. If anything, he looked less like a hunter and more like a wolf.
He's always our brother, but, I'm curious in, the fan disc, because, I didn't even know there was one, but I heard someone say that there is a route for him and Wolf, and it's I'm kind of curious because, he's our brother in every route. So, he's always our brother.
So what are you doing out here, twerp? My name isn't Twerp, it's Snow White.
Snow White?
Furrowed his brow. What about you, mister?
Excuse me? Mister? Are you talking to me?
Do you see anyone else here? I tilted my head at him. He scowled. I braced myself, thinking he'd hit me, but instead he simply clucked his tongue in annoyance.
Kids these days.
I may be a kid, but at least I had the common decency to introduce myself. Still waiting on you. It was a ballsy retort, but I was testing the waters.
Ryoshi Arisu.
He reluctantly answered the question. He must have realized that I had a valid point. That's a weird name.
Gee, sorry.
Oh, so you admit it.
Alice Huntsman. It's Huntsman Alice.
Ryoshi, the Japanese form of huntsman. Arisu, the Japanese form of Alice. Two fairy tale characters mashed together.
Ryoshi is Huntsman, huh? We might have been told that in other versions of the game, but I don't remember. I don't think you have any room to talk on the subject. You're not a girl, are you?
I kicked his unguarded shin.
Ow! The hell was... I am not a girl.
I growled in a low voice. I didn't care if he made fun of my stupid name. I was not okay with him treating me like a girl. Ryoshi looked at me in confusion for a moment, then let out a sigh.
Fine. I apologize for saying that.
He raised both hands in surrender.
So it might actually take 2 parts to get around it, because I don't think we're going to get it in this, because we're doing, way back backstory here.
So, Huntsman.
After all that, you're not even going to call me by my name?
You really want me to call you Mr. Alice?
No, not really.
Well, then Huntsman works, don't you think? This seemed to piss him off even more, so I decided to consider other options. Grandpa?
Huntsman is fine.
Apparently he didn't like Grandpa either.
Very picky, this one. I fucking love how Snow White is tormenting him. Okay, Snow White is not my favorite love interest by far. He's probably, one of my least favorites. Just because he's the pretty lolly boy, you know what I mean? He's too pretty and lolly boy-like for me, you know? But I gotta love his fucking personality right now. Right now, you're getting mad points because this is hilarious. When I saw you zoning out over there, I thought you were gonna drown yourself or something.
Drown myself? Why would I do that?
How should I know? I'm just saying, it's not normal for a kid to be out here by himself this late.
And why are you out here by yourself this late?
He's also twice our age.
Sure, he had a scary face, but he didn't seem old enough to be lecturing me like a grown-up.
He's 20.
You're one of those delinquent types, aren't you?
What makes you say that?
Because you look like a thug.
Gee, sorry.
His appearance was nothing like the average person's. His hair and eyes were both pale in color. To be fair, he rocked the look, but out here in the countryside he was bound to attract all kinds of attention.
And this is my natural color, unfortunately.
You don't like it? I was more interested in his irritated tone of voice.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Huh.
Since he was dodging the question, I took that to mean he didn't enjoy the topic.
Everyone always tells me to dye it black, so I tried it once and I look like a damn freak.
I tried to picture him with black hair. It wasn't pretty.
Really? Because I picture him looking like the wizard. With black hair, all I'm saying. Like, hold on a second. I'm gonna move my guide. Okay, no, the wizard's hair is definitely different. It's shorter. Like, just... Because the game page is up in the background, so, like, I can see part of it, but my guide was covering, so I moved in. I'm like, oh. I guess, I don't know why, I just, like, for some reason I see his hair, and I was just thinking, but the wizard's hair is shorter. It's not quite as floofy long. Look, in my brain, things got a little jumbled, okay? Anyway.
Yeah, you're right. You wouldn't look good with black hair. Mental image was just too funny.
I bet he would look gorgeous, because I'm pretty sure any fucking color hair you put on him would be good looking. Rude little twerp.
You're the one who brought it up. Why was I laughing so hard? You wouldn't think it was that hilarious, yet for some reason it was. Hey, so, will you come back here again tomorrow night? I asked as I wiped the tears of laughter from my eyes.
Excuse me? Why would I? Are you saying you're gonna come back here alone again?
Yeah, that's the plan. I smiled faintly.
You can't be serious.
The next night, sure enough, Ryoshi showed up at the lake. As soon as he saw me, he ran a hand through his ash-gray hair. I guess he thought I was joking about coming back. Silently, he sat down beside me. A few minutes passed in which neither of us said a word. It was a peaceful moment. The only sound was that of the waves. Just like always. Except this time I wasn't alone. As I gazed out at the water, lost in thought, Ryoshi slowly began to speak.
Is it fun, just looking out at the empty lake?
Not really.
He
took a small pack from his pants pocket and pulled out a thin white stick. What is that?
Cigarette?
What's a cigarette? I never heard this word before.
What, you've never seen one before? What a strange kid.
As he spoke, he set the cigarette between his lips. You eat it?
No, you inhale the smoke.
How is that any different?
Good question.
He reached into his pocket again. This time he produced a lighter. So you light it on fire? Guess that's one way to create smoke.
Yep. I take it you know what a lighter is, then.
He lit the cigarette with no trouble, as if he'd done it 100 times before. White smoke rose up into the air.
We're gonna have to cure you of that, though, Ryoshi, because smoking is not attractive. I guess in games, maybe you're okay with it, because you're like, alright, fine. But, like, in real life, no. Ugh, gross.
The smell stung my nostrils, and as I inadvertently inhaled the smoke, my lungs reflexively coughed it back out. What a weird smell. I buried my nose in my elbow to protect it from the smoke. So does the smoke taste good or something?
Not at all. It's nasty.
Huh. So you don't like smoking, but you do it anyway? That's weird.
Yeah, maybe so.
He pulled the cigarette from his lips and exhaled a gust of white smoke. It stood out in sharp contrast against the dark night sky, almost like a ghost.
They say smoking poisons the body. There are tons of people in the world who choose to do it anyway.
It's poison?
Yeah, it is. So don't try it at home, alright, kid?
He put the cigarette back between his lips. a stoic expression on his face. It was poison, yet he smoked it as if it was his duty.
Kids like you should stick to lollipops.
As he spoke, he produced a brightly wrapped candy from the pocket of his jacket and handed it to me.
And you just feel like he brought it and he was like, I'm gonna smoke. Okay. And he like planned this whole thing. He was like, okay, so like I'm probably gonna smoke, and then he's gonna ask about the smoking, and then I'm gonna tell him not to do it, and then I'll segue into the lollipop thing, and then I'll give it to him, and it'll be like totally smooth. Like he rehearsed it in his head.
Pass. I threw it onto the ground.
Rude. Hey.
He smacked me over the head.
Goddamn twerp. Didn't anybody teach you some manners?
I'm not a twerp. He scowled. Wasn't expecting a total stranger to hit me.
Again.
Meanwhile, Ryoshi put out a cigarette, rose to his feet, and picked up the lollipop. Silently, I watched as he unwrapped it and put it in his mouth.
This tastes way better.
Isn't it dirty? I stared in disbelief.
What? No. Still had its wrapper on.
Huh. He rolled the lollipop around on his tongue. The more I watched him, the more it piqued my curiosity. On second thought, I think I want one.
Will you make up your mind?
As he spoke, he produced another lollipop from his pocket.
Here.
This time I held it in my hand.
You're not gonna eat it?
No. That wasn't why I wanted one. I just wanted to copy him. I held the lollipop aloft. Inside the clear wrapper, the bright red candy sparkled in the moonlight. It almost looked like an apple.
Okay, we're definitely not getting our ending today, and I'm gonna stop now. I'm fucking starving. I need to go eat. I know we're a few minutes under, but I don't want to go too far over. And I want to make sure that we have a decent enough part in the next one. So, wow, I didn't think the ending was gonna go this long, but okay, it'll be like probably a normal 10-parter because I'm guessing we'll get our ending in the next part. I feel like we're gonna be doing this for a long time. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.